What's up, everyone? All right, well, I'm finishing my 16th consecutive green day here, but just barely. Today was kind of wild. Right out of the gates, had a nice gap and go trade, a green trade. Then I had a small red trade, so I knew I was kind of, I definitely wasn't at the daily goal after my first two trades, or the first two stocks I traded. And then I jumped into a stock that was squeezing up quickly, and it dropped hard, and I took a good size loss. The biggest loss that I've had all month. It was $2,700. So that's disappointing, and that I knew it put me in the red. I know now it was $2,700. So it put me in the red, and I slowly dug my way out of the hole. And I'm actually surprised that I'm finishing the day up $1,100. I got out of the hole thanks to CODX, news that came out in the morning as it squeezed up from, I guess it was 13 up to 14.50. And then Whiting Petroleum, WLL, which is not a stock I would typically trade. It's a bigger float. But that stock squeezed from about $1.15 all the way up to $1.50, $1.75, $1.80, $1.90, $2. And then it ripped to $2.10, $2.20, $2.30, $2.40, over 150%. Crazy move. And so I rode the momentum. I probably wouldn't have ordinarily traded that one, but I knew I was in the red. I was trying to get myself out of the hole, and there was a really good quality ABCD pattern, and we'll break it down during the recap. So as always, questions, comments, leave them down below. I hope you guys are green today as well. It was a little tricky. Definitely a day that had to pivot, take those base hits. Not a lot of home runs, but there was some volatility and there was some opportunity to be had. So walking away green here, day 16. I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. And tomorrow, I would say my goal is hopefully to not go red in my first 10 minutes of trading, just to try to get green. And even if I finish up only $500, to not have to go in the red and dig myself out of the hole would be just a nice way to finish the week. So that's the game plan for tomorrow, Friday. Try to make it day 17. All right, see you guys then. All right, everyone, so we're going to do the recap here. Today is Thursday, and today has been the most challenging day of the month for me. I kind of had a slow start, which I thought I might have because we didn't have a really great gap scanner today. And unfortunately, the gappers that we ended up watching really didn't do a whole lot. So starting from the beginning of the day, CPAH, you can see that I traded that one right here. And, I just knew that this one had some risk just because of the fact that it has a little bit of a history of having some red days back here and up here. And pre-market, it had already made a pretty big move. So I did take a couple trades on it. I know that I'm green on it because they were winning trades, but not big winners by any means. INO was another one that I traded right out of the gates, and then I had my biggest loss of the month, which was on NBR. Disappointing. It halted going up right here at 1150, and I took a small position coming out of the halt, and it popped up, as you can see, to a high of 1246. $1 a share, and then dropped to 1071. Talk about volatility. So that was my biggest. I know it was a big loss, and I've already looked at my P&L. I'll show it in a second, but I know where I'm at. I know that was the biggest loss. And then I ended up feeling like, okay, well, clearly I'm in the red, and what's the goal today? I knew I wasn't below my max loss, because I didn't get the message that I was below my max loss, which usually would pop up right here. So I was like, all right, I've got room to keep trading, and I started slowly digging myself out of the hole. But it was a fairly slow process, and it really didn't happen until I traded the ABCD pattern on WLL, Whiting Petroleum, a stock that I would not have ordinarily traded had it not been for the fact that I was red. And I was thinking, well, this is a good quality pattern. So, here at 1045, I took the trade. And this squeezed all the way up to $2.40. Has 159 million shares of volume. So the P&L today, I'm up $1,100. $2,800 on WLL, 1,300 on CODX, 500 on CPAH, and then red on these stocks. A couple small losers, and then NBR was the biggest loss. So probably not a picture perfect day. NBR, it's kind of funny because I was giving myself that pep talk this morning. I was like, you got to be careful. The gap scanner, Whiting is on there, WLL, but I'm really not that interested. IMMU, I don't think is going to work. INO, well, I see it's got a catalyst, which was Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funding potential vaccine against COVID-19. What did I do on that one? I lost $17. So, it's fine, but kind of annoying. CODX had news that came out kind of in the middle of the morning right here. And this gave a nice trade. There was a first pullback right here, a breakout right here, but it was really kind of heavy. Upside resistance. So it had, a really nice move, but it didn't hold up incredibly well. I mean, it's still at 14.15, I guess. But so let's kind of go back to the top of the gap scan. So this morning when I sat down, immediately I was like, oh boy, this doesn't look like it's going to be a great day. And I felt that way because our leading gapper already had like 2 million, 3 million shares of volume. So I figured, well, I'm certainly not the first one to see it. The news has been well circulated. It's already made a big move, up almost 100%. We'll just see what it can do. And I did take this pullback here and we got the pop up to 450, and then I took a red to green move on it. So, a couple small wins, but nothing exciting. These are higher float or lower price, so I wasn't super interested. Lower price, very light volume. So I wasn't interested in any of those. I wasn't interested in these. Nothing in here. So, basically the gap scanner was just not looking great. So right out of the gates, the first trade was on CPAH. The 1 minute setup, we had like a sort of a micro pullback and a quick break over the pre-market highs. It flushed down. Then we had a quick red to green move down here, but none of it really stuck, and it ended up kind of setting the tone for the morning. So CPAH, small wins. INO, I tried to get in this also for the break over the pre-market high, which, as you can see, popped up, dropped down. I got back in right here. So I had two trades. One right here, which was a small loss. I knew it was a small loss with 1,000 shares. And a second one right here, which was a small winner with 1,000 shares. So nothing super exciting. Sava, I tried to take a trade on, but I only got a partial fill, and then I got right out of it. That was, I believe, on a 5 minute setup, which was right here. So I only got a partial fill, and so I was like, whatever. I just got out of it immediately for a $2 loss. That was on maybe 186 shares or something like that. It was less than 200. BBCP hit the high day Momo scanner over here. It got halted. It popped up. I jumped in and it popped up for a second, but I didn't take the profit off the table. And then it came back down and I stopped out with a $169 loss. And CHK, I traded, and this was kind of a bummer because a really nice breakout right here. And actually, I'll take a screenshot of this as well to add to the classes. This is two sort of setups in one. It's the break of the whole dollar of 26. It's also a pullback setup, but you can see that on the break, it did a false break before then ripping to $32. I tried to do a bottom bounce on it, and I was early on the bottom bounce after it was flushing down here, and so I stopped out. And I was quick to stop out relatively, but yeah, that was a little bit of a loss there. So, and then NBR, again, as I said, halted. I got in after the halt, and it squeezed up. I didn't take profit. It then flushed back down, and I was out of that with a good size loss. I actually did something that, I often say I really generally say don't do it at all. But I did average down on it. And so I averaged down, it was actually right here. And I averaged down adding at 11.10 and 11.13. So I brought my average down to probably, I don't know, I think it was like 1150 or something like that. Because of course I added up here as it was squeezing. And then when it came here, I got out at 1110. So one of my rules is that if I'm going to average down, my stop absolutely with no question has to be where I added. Otherwise, with the shares I add down here, I'm doubling my loss. I'm making it bigger. I can't hold now a double-sized position down to here. Now, fortunately on this, I went in with only 1,000 shares to start. So I was conservative on my entry, but then I added as it was squeezing up because it was looking good. So that was must have been on this like micro pullback or something right around here. It hit a high of 46. I was looking for the break over 1240 and then the break and squeeze to 13. And then right here, it flushes down. I add down here. It pops up, but not enough to get me to break even. And so I stopped out as it came back down, which was the right move, but definitely disappointing. So biggest loss of the month right there on NBR. But, all things in context, I can show you my P&L here on the month after importing yesterday's trades. So I imported yesterday's trades here. This was yesterday, a $14,000 green day. Although today is nothing to brag about, and it's not really super great. It's a small green day, which is good. And coming through today, this is where I sat on the month. Gross profit, 62,000. Average winners, 428. Average losers, 253. So I'm going to have a new biggest loss right here, which is, again, disappointing. But, it's okay, I guess. And my winning trade, 72%, almost 73, is probably going to be lower today because I just wasn't as accurate. So anyways, all things considered, I am maintaining the hot streak, which I might have thrown in the towel sooner had I not been thinking about the hot streak. I'm not sure though, because I knew I was red, and often I will try to get myself back to green. But one of the kind of things is what I can't do is when I go red, I can't have, like, after the NBR loss, I needed to have a winner, and I did. The next trade was CODX, and I knew it was a good winner. I actually thought it was a little better than it is. So I was like, okay, that might have gotten me out of the hole from NBR. I might actually be back in the green, but let's try to add a little more to that. And then, of course, I had the BBC trade, a couple kind of losers, and I was like, okay, I might be right on the edge here. I'd like a trade that really convincingly puts me over the edge. I then had a trade on CODX that I stopped out on, so I gave back a little profit, and then the whiting setup formed. So yeah, kind of a little bit of a roller coaster of a day, and not picture perfect. I don't know if I would have traded significantly differently had I not been on a hot streak, because I generally, if I go red, I will try to, I will try to get myself back to green. But if I have 2 red trades in a row or 3 red trades in a row, that's where I'm like, okay, I'm done. And what I often did in the past, let's see, I'm just writing down something for this screenshot, whole dollar breakout. What I often did in the past is immediately following a red trade, I would impulsively jump into anything that hit the scanner. So I would just jump into whatever this is, SNDE or something like that. And next thing I know, because I was impulsive and I was trying to make back the loss, I jump into this like way up at the high, and then it flushes down, and now I've just doubled the loss. And when I'm doing that, I'm definitely being emotional. I'm being impulsive, and I can't keep trading. So after a loss that I know is a good size one, I have to take a few minutes to just take a breath, slow down, and not try to jump right into the next trade just like that. Because that decision is almost always going to be fueled by the response from the loss. And so today I was able to take a breath after NBR. This trade was at 9:45, and then the next trade on CODX let's see, when was this? Was around 10 a.m. So I did have a period where I was sitting red and I was like, all right, let's see. Well, I might not get back to green today, but, we'll see if I'm able to dig myself out of the hole a little bit. Maybe I can cut the loss down. Again, it's a little bit hard. And someone asked me about on the YouTube comments yesterday about trading, not looking at the P&L, because it's not something that I've ever done until this month. This is the first time I've ever done this, and I've been doing it in response to the month of March, where emotions were running really high, the market was going crazy, and while I had some really nice green trades, I also had some days where I was very aggressive and impulsive, and just I was like, I need to slow it down for April. And so towards the end of March, I started doing this, and it has been helpful. But it's a little bit, different from how I've done it in the past, which would be that I'd be very closely watching my P&L. And if I crossed a certain number down, I have to stop. Well, I have that set with my broker, so I don't really have to stare at the number. And sometimes when you stare at the number and you're like, oh my God, I'm down, 27.91 or whatever it is, and then you take a loss and you're like, okay, now I'm down only, 1,400. Okay, I only need to make back 1,400. And it can start getting you into this frame of mind that's really not very productive. And so this kind of just helps me disconnect a little bit from those emotions where I'm like, okay, I know I'm red. I know that was a good loss. I know the math. So I know based on the number of shares and where I got out that I most likely, was down a couple $1,000 on it. So I've got a good size hole. But, if I have a couple of $400 winners, that'll soften the blow a little bit. And that was only 945. So there was still a good chance that there was going to be more opportunity and more momentum as the day went on. And so today's a day where I did trade a little longer, which, again, I often say it's the losers who, are trading the longest into the day because we're trying to make back our losses. And it's the winners that take money off the table and hit the road. But that does mean the winners are often leaving a lot of money on the table because there will be opportunities like this that on a green day we might just not trade because, we already had a good morning, no reason to push our luck. And so, if you're maybe a really, really good trader would be able to be green and be willing to keep trading like all day and keep capitalizing on these. But, it's kind of playing with fire because, the more times you trade, the more you expose yourself to just that freak, drop like this. And that was my last trade. I actually bought this down at 75. I bought it at $1.75 off this bottom bounce right here, which was a nice fill and rode the momentum back up a little bit. But yeah, in any case, this has been the first day where I really got myself into a situation. I did have a day last week, or wait, what day was it? Was it even earlier this week on ABCT? But I can't remember if I was already green on the day before I had that loss. So it didn't feel as difficult as today. But in any case, that's the recap. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over to the Warrior Pro room here. We're going to do Q&A for Warrior Pro students. We might do a little bit of a shorter session today as it's a little later in the morning. But we'll do Warrior Pro Q&A, and I will see you guys, of course, back at it first thing tomorrow morning. Hopefully, today is the 16th green day, so wait, 15th? No, what is today? Is today the 15th day? I think it's the 15th green day. Yesterday was 14. No, yesterday was 15 and I was up 14 grand. Today is 16 and I'm up 1,000. So day 16. Just barely. So be back at it tomorrow. See if I can go for day 17 and finish off the week. And if I can get a green trade and do the 17th day with just like 1 or 2 stocks, that would be awesome. The only days I really trade a lot are either when I'm having a really great day or a really terrible day. And today, I would say was a terrible day that ended well. it wasn't a great day. Even though whiting was a nice trade, it wasn't a great day. All right, so that's it for me. I'll see you guys back at it tomorrow, and Warrior Pro students will start our Q&A in just 1 second. Hey, did you know that I go live every single morning between 9 and 9:15 to stream my pre-market watch list? Subscribe to the channel, press the bell for the alert, and you'll get the notification.